There's a woman out there. She's my hero, fighting the good fight for dental hygiene. Woman is facing multiple charges. She was accused of drunk driving with 2 kids in the car and engaging in a fight over an $80 toothbrush. This woman is my hero. The drunk driving aside, I know, shame on you. You shouldn't drink and drive. But to be so passionate, to be so enthralled by oral hygiene, the fight for a clean mouth, the fight for floss, the fight for higher standards in dental hygiene. This I can get behind. This is the true mark of a hero. This woman, to me, in many ways, is kind of like a saint doing us all a favor. Have you ever tried to talk to someone with whiskey breath, with a rotting tooth? It's horrible. And in today's day and age, there's no excuse for poor dental hygiene. And I've heard the excuse made for poor people, but I know for a fact they sell dollar toothpaste and dollar toothbrushes at the Family Dollar right down the street. There's no excuse. They've made it so affordable. They've made it impossible to come up with a reason to have bad dental hygiene. You can even take that toothbrush to a public restroom and scrub up. There's no excuse. This woman, to me, is a crusader. This woman is a hero. This woman has a special place in my heart as someone who is very passionate about dental hygiene. It's great. It's wonderful. Welcome to River Talk. This is the River's Edge Radio Network. I'm Brian Crawford. This is the home of oral hygiene on the internet. I want to remind you that Krish Mohan's Empathy on Sale is live. They have a live comedy album recording. It's going to be on February 1st at 8:30 p.m. right across the courtyard from me at the Funhouse at Mr. Smalls. We're going to have Krish on in just a few minutes. We're going to bring him on early. I'm going to break the rules. We're going to bring him on early because I think there are some interesting topics that he would love to get his voice in on as well. I joined this club the other day. It's a really ritzy club. I love it. It's called the Rivers Club. It's downtown. It makes you feel like you have money. You walk in there, and they have a dining area upstairs with this beautiful bar that overlooks the city. They have an incredible gym with a swimming pool and a full gymnasium. It's all right downtown inside of One Oxford Center. And all of that's well and good. But what I really, really, really like about the Rivers Club is their attention to dental hygiene. This woman could be a member of the Rivers Club. I was in the locker room, and I knew this place was high-end. I mean, it's great. You go in there, you work out, you take your clothes off, you put them in this little loop, and you stick them in a bin, and they wash your clothes for you and bring them back the next day. I mean, this place is high-end. It's fantastic. It's just the kind of place you would expect Brian Crawford to be, right? So I'm there for the first time, and I'm like an idiot. I'm looking around. I can't find anything because I'm just clueless. It's my first time at the gym. And there's a lot of like different rules. Like you can't go swimming for a half an hour because the person goes on break. I didn't know that. So things like that. But anyways, I go to finish getting ready for the day afterwards for the first time, and I come to the sink, and they have everything there. They have razors for you to shave your face. They have multiple shaving creams available. Not just a shaving cream, but multiple. There's a selection of shaving creams for you to choose from. They also have packaged toothbrushes and flossers right there on the counter. This place, and Listerine as well, because you know it kills 99% of germs, right? Flossing isn't enough, isn't that what they say? They have everything right there for you. This place cares about dental hygiene. And I know you're hearing the story about this woman who is so adamant about this toothbrush, and you think $80 for a toothbrush, what are you, out of your mind? No. Let me tell you, I bought a $100 toothbrush recently. And this toothbrush is incredible. It's an automated toothbrush, and it has Bluetooth connectivity. And you think, why in the hell do you need a Bluetooth toothbrush? Well, let me tell you. I can put a little screen up in front of me on my iPad, and I can watch exactly where I'm brushing my teeth, and it can determine while I'm brushing my teeth what areas I'm missing, what areas I need to work on. And one of the biggest issues with brushing your teeth is it's very easy to overbrush, and you can actually brush your gums away. Well, with this Bluetooth toothbrush, you know you're not brushing too long or too hard. It's the perfect combination. So I can understand her passion. I can feel her enthusiasm, and I sympathize. I'm 100% with her. I think she is a moral beacon in today's world. Krish, do you brush your teeth?
Of course I brush my teeth.
So you're into dental hygiene.
I enjoy dental hygiene. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the dentist.
Why not?
But I had a lot of cavities when I was a kid, so I don't like the dentist.
Okay.
They remind me of pain and terrible times in my life.
Now, do you think you actually had cavities, or did you have some sort of shyster dentist? Because
No,
they exist.
I definitely had cavities.
You definitely had cavities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we had a dentist once who, my dad had terrible teeth. When I was a kid, we weren't allowed to brush our teeth for many years. Our
What?
parents brushed our teeth for us because they all had terrible teeth. My dad had so many issues. My mom had so many issues that they were determined that we would have good teeth. And to this day, I'm 32 years old. I've only ever had one cavity. I brush my own
That's
teeth
awesome.
now, but I did, yeah. For a time, that was a thing.
He only calls me in to help occasionally.
Just occasionally, yes.
Well, sometimes
But-
you need that help, right? You want to. That's why I'm against this Bluetooth toothbrush. Is we're losing the community around brushing
Losing
teeth.
the community of brushing teeth, yes.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. You get a machine to take the jobs of humans, right?
Exactly. You know, you're not having Zach.
They're automating everything. Everything.
Yeah. You don't have Zach coming in there telling you, hey, looks like you're overbrushing on the left side, Brian.
Yeah, I thought about calling you in once for help, Krish, but I had this Bluetooth toothbrush. I didn't need it.
I know. See, I feel obsolete.
Yeah.
Here, I thought it was just like updating your Twitter. Just dental hygiene done for the day.
That's I think that might be when we end up taking it too far. Is if you can tweet while you brush your teeth. That I feel like would probably be a little too much.
Well, not while you're brushing your teeth. If you can do the one-handed thing, I guess you can do it that way, but not from the actual toothbrush itself.
If you could do it from the toothbrush, I think we've lost our minds as a species.
Oh, it's just it's an automatic update. It's just it's at like the 2-minute mark. It just sends out the tweet. It's like
We're done.
Yeah, I don't want anybody
Mission
to
accomplished.
know.
Mission
update.
accomplished.
I don't want
my teeth
anybody
today,
to know.
guys.
You know, like
Actually, I'm in favor of that. So in China, they're doing that big thing now where they're doing social shaming,
oh my god.
where basically it's
log on
through
your toothbrush today, bro.
it's
You don't get your
through-
social score.
Yeah, through Alibaba, they do social scoring, and I feel like that this would be a benefit. Like, I don't want the government completely controlling your life, but it's been said on the show multiple times, I'm a bathroom fascist. I'm in favor of a secret bathroom police. I feel like this could be another step forward. If you don't brush your teeth in the appropriate time, everybody knows you're then looked down upon in society, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. It's like people who don't wear deodorant. You should be looked down on. I'm sorry, you should. It's 99 cents for a freaking thing of Speed Stick. Just go to the store and get one. There's
love your
nothing worse
passion
than
for this.
I
do.
I hate whenever you smell someone's body odor. But my point was, shyster dentists. My
Yeah.
dad, at one point, he had a dentist who wanted to rip up all of his gums
Oof.
and do this insane type of work. It would have cost an insane amount of money. It would have probably ruined his mouth forever. He decided to go for a second opinion, and the other dentist that he went to said, "You don't need any of that." And this dentist is
Wow.
great, and we've been going to him ever since. So dentists are often, they're like auto mechanics, right? There are some really, really good, trustworthy dentists, but then there are ones that will take you for a fool, and they'll just try to collect, and they'll invent problems in your mouth just to keep the money flow coming in.
Oh, of course.
That's something that happens. Yeah, with dentists. You think
Yeah,
you
they
could trust
gotta-
your dentist, but
They all have to go, hunt exotic animals in Africa.
yeah,
That's what.
those are the ones.
Those are the shyster dentists. It's like,
Yes.
how did you make enough money to get on an African safari to shoot an exotic beast? You were a shyster dentist. You know, you lied about people. You did 46 very expensive root canals that nobody needed.
Nobody needed.
And now there's a bunch of rootless humans walking around that can't eat proper meals because their teeth are too, barren.
Yeah,
There's nothing in there.
terrifying.
That's the problem in society. Shyster dentist. I have to say I did have a pretty decent dentist. You know, every time that he would let me know that I have a cavity, he asked me if he was like, "Oh, has that felt weird? has this area? And usually the answer was yes, but I just thought that's what happened to teeth.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh no, it's because your teeth are dying, and we need to fix that problem."
Yikes. That's terrifying. Do you brush your teeth? 412-407-2PGH. That's the number to text. You can also hit me up on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH, or you can message us on the Facebook Live feed, as Lori has done. Zach's mom says, I was always taught to brush 3 times a day, but neither of my parents had their own teeth in their 40s. And she said, I'm Zach's mom. His teeth are good, and so are mine.
Oh, lying on my behalf. Good mom.
Excellent.
Give that a love.
So the thing with the 3 times a day is that would be I would be afraid of overbrushing at that point. My problem was I had an OCD thing about my teeth where I felt like I needed to brush the germs away and brush the plaque away, and I would like go at it like an insane man. And I did brush away a little bit of my gum. I've gotten better now.
No.
Yeah. But it was overbrushing. It wasn't due to a lack of oral hygiene. It was for too much hygiene. There was too much oral hygiene.
Yeah.
And your gums apparently now I've heard mixed reports. Apparently some people say that they do grow back. Some people say that they do not.
This is literally the first time I've heard that you can brush your gums away.
Oh yeah, that's a serious issue. Yeah, you have to. That's why an $100 toothbrush makes sense, because when you have the electronic toothbrush, you can only brush so hard. So it actually trains you, like you brush the appropriate amount instead of overbrushing. That's one of the reasons why they often recommend those types of toothbrushes. They also recommend water picks because it's easier on your gums versus regular floss.
Well, are you those little like brushy?
No, it's actually a machine that has a little stick that comes out of it, and it shoots water out into your mouth.
Oh,
so then you could then stick the little stick in between each individual tooth, and it works as floss. But it's much better on your mouth than floss itself.
Where was this when I was a kid?
This is what I'm saying. See, this is why you listen to this show. You get educated on proper oral hygiene.
Man.
I'm really passionate about this, so I know a lot of different things that are out there. Yeah.
Well, you got great teeth.
Thank you. Yeah, I spent a lot of time working on my teeth, and my parents spent a ton of money on my teeth as well.
You know what? That's one thing that I do feel bad about is my parents did put a lot of money into my teeth, and I, as a child, always treated them like trash.
Oh yeah.
Well, I like sweets.
So I don't.
Still do.
I don't.
love 'em.
So that's maybe something that's been in my favor. Is I really don't like sweets that much.
I love it. We used to get my hands on as much sweets as possible. My wife will tell you that I have an incredible sweet tooth. The mornings where I wake up like, a little bit earlier than her or whatever, I can eat cake for breakfast. So
there you go.
So that's which is what I did this morning. I had cake for breakfast. It was delicious. It was amazing. But yeah, I had braces. And then they one of my teeth went back into its own place, and I felt really bad because I know how much my parents spent on braces.
Yeah, I had to go through that twice.
Oh, I can't. Now it's I don't even know what's the point at this. I'm just I'll just live with it.
I had this giant mask, so we're going completely off. We have so many other topics to hit on, but we'll see if we hit them because this is really riveting. I had this mask that I would have to wear over my head.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to the orthodontist. This is back the first time I had braces. And this mask, it has a big metal wire that sticks out of your mouth.
Okay.
A mask over your head. And then a gum band that would attach the wire to the mask. And it actually pulled your entire jaw back because I had an overbite. This orthodontist wanted me to wear that contraption at all times.
It's too much.
My dad looked at it. He said, you got to be out of your fucking mind. So I wore it only to bed. But luckily, my dad saved me a childhood of being bullied because that was like middle school age. They would have destroyed me.
I got my braces when I was in high school. Freshman year of high school is when I got them on. Yeah, I was a freshman in high school, and I luckily got them off right before I had to get my senior picture taken, which was kind of awesome. I was I totally lucked out in that sense, but everything in the middle sucked.
Did you have the crank?
No, I had different gum bands that I had to put.
Oh, the spacers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I had a crank where it was a metal contraption that went across the roof of your mouth, and it had a key You had the crank?
Yeah, I did have it. Yeah, it's just I couldn't manually do it, so every time I went into the dentist, they tightened that. That was like a
this
procedure for
crank
me.
was a crank that you did every day.
Oh, I didn't.
And
have
it was
that
a
one.
thing where like you push down on it, it would push your jaw apart to create space for your teeth. And I remember the orthodontist was such an asshole. My parents would try to be real gentle with it, even though it was excruciatingly painful.
Yeah.
The nurse's aide or the dentist's aide or dentist assistant, whatever you call it, she would try to be extremely gentle. And then the orthodontist would come in and he'd just be like, he was like a freaking psycho. Like he had some sort of thing wrong with him where he took out some sort of sick pleasure in creating pain and causing pain for people.
Yeah, it was that. I remember that being really rough because they were also like this was like a terrifying thing where they were like, oh, food can get stuck in there, so like be careful about that. And I was like, what? Why is this thing entering my mouth that like food's gonna get? It was a horrifying experience. So like I had that for a while, so like anytime I would have to eat like solid foods, I would be super careful about eating it. I'm pretty like I think I got like weird food paranoia from it for a little while.
Sure.
You know, like I had to like watch what I eat and stuff. Now it's like I eat anything you put in front of me. You know, I'll devour it.
Yeah, my issue is because I had that overbite, which was adjusted originally. My back teeth are destined for destruction, so they're slowly falling apart. Because they're so tight. It's so my back teeth are so tight. If I try to floss, the floss breaks in the teeth.
Wow.
Because it can't fit. Even floss can't fit between those back teeth.
That's incredible.
And my mouth now, it's like I grind on the back teeth. There's nothing that can be done. My dentist said eventually your teeth are gonna fall apart in your back teeth. You're gonna have to get splints on your teeth. Yeah. And I said, well, was it the orthodontist? Was he wrong? He said, no, he wasn't wrong. Your teeth are just that messed up.
Wow.
Like your mouth was just that much of a disaster.
Wow. That's kind of impressive though.
That they were able to redesign my mouth.
Well, that for one, but like that's like how powerful your teeth are.
Oh yeah.
Like they're going to destroy themselves. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's sad. I wish we could regrow teeth like sharks do.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be great.
Yeah, I would just be like, well, this one's rotted out because I ate cake for breakfast for 7 years straight. Well, get rid of them.
It's gone. Well, we just spent 20 minutes talking about teeth.
Amazing. You're
Yeah,
never
we
gonna
haven't-
get that anywhere else.
We haven't even gotten into the other topics. Why don't we do that? We were talking about welfare, or not welfare. We were talking about the government shutdown on Friday, which we usually rarely dive into that. But they were mentioning, I was talking with Jay, they were mentioning in the news that our tax returns may be delayed due to the government shutdown. Well, now they are saying that food stamps may dry up. People may not be able to get the food that they need through food stamps because of the government shutdown. And what blows my mind is the difference in reaction on social media. When it came to somebody receiving their tax return, everyone was outraged. Now that it comes to food stamps, everyone says, oh, get a job, and all the other normal things. Super, super sad. I didn't want to dwell too much on this, but I thought it was a kind of a sad commentary on our society that getting your check back, your refund check, when really let's be honest, in many ways we're undertaxed. I know that's a taboo thing to say in the United States of America, but we're undertaxed in a lot of ways. And when it comes to people who need food, that's an issue. And really, with the amount of food that we throw away, there's no reason why anyone in this country should be hungry to begin with. Yeah. And we should be okay with. I'm okay with allowing people to eat, especially people who are working. I understand the bums. You don't want to feed somebody who's a lazy asshole who just doesn't want to do the job. But a lot of people, I was reading one comment, and I guess I could mention her name because she did post it on Facebook in a public group, but I'm not going to. Somebody who's really who's a big fan of the music community here in Pittsburgh. She works a job, her husband works a job, they have a kid. They both are working, can't afford food. So that happens more times than not.
Yeah, and you got to really think about like what the state of, the richest country in the world is. What does that mean? If people that are and I know people that work 2 or 3 jobs and they still can't afford, are still on food stamp programs, and that really should be a statement on what this economy really is, right? And everybody's like, oh, get a job. It's like they have a job. They have 2 of them.
Yeah.
They have double the amount of jobs that anybody needs. You know, it's like, how many more do you want? It's more in the sense of like, we're not paying people the right amount, or we're just not taking care of people in this country. Those are both, I think both of those probably go into this issue. And I've, had lots of conversations about it. I think programs like the food stamps and welfare, most of the time, yield positive results, right? You're helping somebody with the basic need of food. And especially now, we are trying to be a little bit more conscious about like what we're eating, and trying to buy stuff that doesn't have additives in it or colors and stuff like that, right? Like we're trying to be a little bit more conscious about that. But all that stuff is way more expensive, right? The stuff that's like naturally grown that doesn't have any processed stuff in it, they just add a bunch of stuff to it. Like they add a bunch of like restrictions to it. It's like the stuff that just naturally grows, and you should just be able to get it to the grocer. That's more expensive.
It is.
Why? How does that make any sense?
Well, it's interesting that the world that we live in, I'm here with Krish Mohan, we've got Zach Fell behind the board on the River's Edge. We live in a weird society where back in the day, like the old day, we're talking like, I don't know, maybe even like before colonial like America, like people who were overweight, women who were overweight were considered extremely beautiful because it meant that they had a lot of money.
Right.
Because they ate a lot.
Yeah.
In today's world, it's the opposite because of what you're speaking of with the quality of food on the lower end being so poor. People who are poor gain a lot of weight because they're eating this food that's terrible for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, being on the road, that's a lot of what I see.
And I will say real quick, it shouldn't matter whether someone's rich or poor as to whether you think they're attractive or not, but go ahead.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, like, whenever I'm on the road, you go to some of these small towns, and they don't have anything except McDonald's or Wendy's or any of these fast food chains, right? Where are the good restaurants that people can afford? Where's the restaurant with the cage-free chicken, but that isn't $20 a meal or something like that, right? And that's sort of like this weird corporate takeover, and those are the places where people are getting health problems because they are overweight, and it's not. And this is the thing is like I'm not telling them like, oh, you're fat and whatever. Like, no, I think this is a problem that the quality of our food in this country is decreasing. The amount of food is increasing, but the quality is decreasing, and that's causing more problems. And that should be something that we should be looking into, right? So instead of maybe attacking people for being like, oh, you're government subsidy, whatever, no, attack McDonald's for saying, why are you putting ammonia in your food, which is a real thing that was happening.
It's
like
terrible.
You put a poison in a what? How? Why? Like. And then you have to wonder, like, why do people have health problems? Why? And is there research done? And I don't know if it is, because anytime you kind of, like, face any sort of research about health or mental health or anything that is directly correlated to, like, what corporations are doing, immediately they're like, oh, we can't do that. How are we going to afford it? It's like, well, you can afford a bunch of different shit. You can afford a bunch of terrible things, but, like, you can't afford things that help people. It's like, oh, we can't find the money for it because it helps people and it doesn't destroy a bunch of crap. It's astounding to me. I think if people could eat better, we would probably start to have less problems in this country because your mind would work a lot better, your body would work a lot better. People would be more focused and attentive. And I think, and that's really counterproductive to corporate interests.
Yeah, you brought up a really important point about people not getting paid enough, and I know that that's absolutely true. I've been desperate to find a new job just because I would like to work in a more of a professional environment, but nobody pays anything. I can't take the pay cut to leave. So.
Yeah. There's a guy that I'm very interested in. His name is Nick Hanauer. I don't know if you've heard of this guy or not. He had a banned TED Talk a couple years ago because he basically came out and advocated that if capitalists pay their employees more, it'll actually benefit the economy, like it should.
Yeah.
Right. Which is sort of what trickle down should be instead of what it ended up becoming. Is let corporations and the rich
trickle down. It's like communism, right? On paper, it might work, but in reality,
it doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It's controlled too much by greed. so the money just stays at the top. You give people you give corporations a break, and then they hold on to that money up at the top, right? So he was basically like advocating for a livable wage. He talks a lot about $15 being what everybody should start with $15 an hour. One of his TED Talks was banned, and the other one basically said, like, if you don't pay people enough, historically speaking, the pattern is there is a revolt. And if you don't want to revolt against the upper class, the aristocrats and the plutocrats and everybody, you should pay people more. You should be lobbying for the federal minimum wage to go up. You should be looking at people to pay them more for their work. The amount of labor they produce, there should be some value to it, so that there's value to themselves, and then they would want to, be a better part of your company. And not only that, but then they can also drive the economy forward. And the way like that we do that now is credit cards, and then you end up with credit card debt.
Yeah.
And then people stop buying stuff, and then the economy slows down again. So it's all this stuff that's like the systems keep spinning its wheels. So why not do something that helps the economy?
But it's easier to blame the millennials. Oh, they're not loyal to their jobs. That's the new thing out there is, they're not loyal to their jobs the way other people were. Well, yeah, nobody gives a pension, nobody gives health care, nobody gives anything. Why in the hell should you be loyal to somebody who gives you absolutely no reason to give them loyalty?
Well, that's the thing. It's like I was having this conversation with our good friend Vincent Didiano, and we're talking about coal jobs, and coal miners made a lot of money for a job that was very dangerous, and there was a lot of pride in that job, and there was a lot of protection and everything, and they used to make a lot of money. So now, why would anybody want to go work in a coal mine when it's that dangerous and people aren't getting paid properly, and these coal companies are not paying their miners properly? Why would you want to? Because they're not investing in you. Why would you want to invest in them? Right?
Exactly.
So it's like, millennials aren't. Yeah, of course they're not. Nobody cares about them. So if you show that you don't care about them, of course they're not going to care about you. Why would you do that? So it doesn't make any sense, right? So, yeah, start from there. Pay your employees better. Pay them a good wage that makes the work that they're doing worth it, especially in a system where we're going to say that money matters, right? If money matters, then you should make people's lives better based on that. You should make sure that the work they're doing is worth what it's actually worth, instead of saying, well, you made me, your hours of work made me $100,000, but I'm only going to pay you 1,000 of that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's counterproductive in my opinion.
I agree completely. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back from the break, we will have the top 5. We've got more from Krish Mohan coming up. I did want to mention, he mentioned his wonderful wife, Liz Victory.
Yeah.
I will be hosting a show with her and a variety of other people. It's going to be Saturday, January 12th, 7 to 10 p.m. right at Hambone. So be sure to check that out and stop out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. More with Krish. Thanks to Zach. I'm Brian Crawford. This is The River's Edge. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Come on, go. It's green. Come on. Go.
God damn it, Brian. You need to calm down with the road rage.
I'm sick of these people, these assholes.
The road rage, man. You got to calm down on the road rage.
Well, I want to get to where we're going. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to Falling Water,
Bicycle Heaven,
the Mattress Factory,
Tuck Knob,
Trundle Manor. All right, which way do I go? Which way do I go? Come on,
right,
come on.
Right.
Too late now.
Right, come on.
Well, too late now. I got to keep going. I'm not going to sit here like some asshole.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, you're listening to The Culture Cruise. You can find us at riversedgepgh.com.
Your local Pittsburgh area museum podcast.
Yes, riversedgepgh.com, and come take a ride with us. Shots fired at a Taco Bell in Oklahoma. Shots fired over the taco sauce. I can understand that. I had 3 tacos today. I went to Coons the other day and bought myself a bottle of Diablo sauce myself. It's fantastic. definitely something worth getting excited about. But I imagine if he'd have just drove through the drive-thru a second time, they probably would have just handed him a few packets. Just my guess. A puppy was fed to a turtle in Idaho. Fed to the turtle was hungry, the puppy was sick, and the owners say it was the humane thing to do. The humane thing to do. What if the turtle gets sick? What did you think about that? Maybe you're poisoning the turtle with tainted meat. That happened in Idaho. Aldi, did you see the Aldi commercial? There's an Aldi commercial going on right now, which is complete rubbish. It should be brought up on fraud, brought up for being misleading. The commercial shows Santa Claus going through the aisle at Aldi, and the cashier slowly grabs each item and runs it through the register. Have you ever been through Aldi? I worked at Aldi. I know how it is. They're whipping that shit into the cart. You can actually hear it ding, 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 ding as it hits the buggy because they're whipping cans, grapefruit. They don't care what the fuck it is. They're whipping it into that cart at the speed of light because if they don't go at a certain speed, they're fired, to quote the president. But yeah, Aldi commercial, terrible. Just completely a misrepresentation of what Aldi is. Aldi is not cheery cashiers who slowly ring the stuff through the register and bag your groceries. No, they whip it into that cart and it's your job to bag it yourself. Connor Lamb got married, and it's going viral because he made some sort of tweet about taking the turnpike to get there on time. Well, Connor Lamb, I wish we all had the money to pay for turnpike fees. And I'm somebody who supported Connor Lamb. I'm glad he got in office. A lot better than Keith Rothfuss. But who cares? What the things that we get so excited about just blows my mind. Who the hell cares that the guy took the turnpike? Maybe now that he's in a position of power, I wish he was involved in the state. Maybe he could influence them to fix the parts of the turnpike that are busy instead of fixing them up in Timbuktu. They decided to widen the turnpike lanes. They started out near Somerset where you have like 2 cars an hour driving by, but in Pittsburgh to Irwin, the busiest section of the turnpike was completely left to nothing until they finished everywhere else. They're now working on it now. So the people of Pittsburgh had to suffer while they fixed everybody else's piece of the turnpike. And finally, speaking of weddings, a bride has really struck a chord with me. A bride and groom have thrown people out of their wedding. Right there, in the middle of the event, kicked them out, kicked the bums out because they brought their kids. They brought the kids to the wedding. The wedding said no kids, so they showed the guests to the door. That's the way to be. That is what we need to see in our breweries here in Pittsburgh. That's what we need to see in high-end restaurants. The only time it's acceptable to bring a child to a restaurant that is a higher-end restaurant is if you have a policy like the Rivers Club, well, they'll kick the bums out. You don't keep your kids in line, you're out of here. And that's what I want to see everywhere. Everywhere. If you can't keep your kid under control, get rid of them. We were at Penn Brewery the other day, Randy and I. Randy from the Culture Cruise. We go to Penn Brewery. We're having a good time. We each have a dunkel in hand. We're eating some great food. And what do you know? What do you know? A baby starts crying. You're out of here! That is the top 5 here on the River's Edge. We've got Krish Mohan in studio with me as well. He's got a big event coming up. When is that event, Krish?
That is February 1st. It's
February 1st.
First Friday, February 1st, right here across the courtyard at the Funhouse at Mr. Small's. It's going to be an album recording.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Don't forget, every Friday morning at 10 a.m. right here on the River's Edge, from the overly analytical mind of Matt Geika, it's Geik's Got Game. Matt orders up sports talk his way, including the nitty-gritty details of the games and plays, in addition to the big picture perspective on how sports fits into real life. If the latest hot take just doesn't satisfy, if your sports fan palate is more than refined, belly up for Geik's Got Game every Friday at 10 a.m. only on the River's Edge. So, Connor Lamb, why do we care? The woman banning her kids. You got to be with me on that, right? You've toured the country. You've been everywhere. You've seen the worst of the children.
I've had kids come to my shows before. Actually, here's the thing. My wife and I had this this discussion where we did a couple shows in some breweries across the country, and the two things that are always at breweries are kids and dogs, and she
I
hates
saw her post about that.
She
Yeah.
hates it.
I'm with her on the kids. I'm against her on the dogs. To me, there's nothing better than seeing a bunch of dogs in one place.
Sometimes the dogs are great, and they're a little bit more well behaved than the humans.
Usually.
Yeah. They're quiet, they're chill, they're like, hey, look at that other dog. Sometimes the kids get a little bit much. If you have a baby in a room where you're going to be serving alcohol, a lot of people are going to be loud, there's going to be amplified music, you should get a sitter, right? And I get it. Sometimes sitters are expensive, but...
Well, then don't go out. My parents didn't go
Mom.
out when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my parents never went to the bar. Ever.
No.
Never.
I
They
remember
never
my
went to
mom
the
going.
bar. They didn't even have alcohol in the house. Because you know what? They were adults. They were fucking adults. You don't take your kid to the bar. What the fuck is wrong with you? Taking your kids to the bar.
I think small children is ridiculous. There's a couple kids that I've seen at bars at my shows, and they've been awesome. There's actually a couple that comes to my shows in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The first time they saw me, their 7-year-old was in the crowd, right? And every time I'm like, I don't know how this is going to play out. And like I was like, listen, I'm going to say some words. I'm going to talk about some ideas. And they're like, he's heard all of them. And I was like, that's probably a fair point.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet you could teach me some stuff, right? Like, I bet you're going to be like, oh, amateur, you know? But he paid attention. He laughed a couple times. 10 minutes into the show, he got the iPad from his mom, and he's playing whatever. And the only other time he chimed in is when I mentioned Batman in my act. And he was like, oh, that's something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, we're done with the Batman part? You're talking about the general nature of how human beings should be good to each other? Yeah, I'm done here.
Done with
you
that,
know?
yeah.
And he just went off into it. And I always leave that up to the parents. You know, like, I'm not going to be
Sure.
offended if you need to leave. Because I'm going to be I
Just
will
don't go
do
back
my
and
best.
complain about you
Yeah.
afterwards. That's the thing. You know what you're getting
Right.
into when you go
Right.
to see a comedy show.
Right.
I guess my issue isn't so much well-behaved kids. Sure, that's fine. But most kids are not well-behaved. Most people are terrible parents. They shouldn't have kids. In fact, many of them should have their kids taken away. And they bring them to these establishments and they let them go on. I remember, like, I was at a brewery the one day and kids were running into me playing tag at the
Right.
brewery, and I
It's
almost
ridiculous.
lost my mind. And that's what you see more of. The kid you're talking about is kind of the exception, I feel like, not the rule in 2018,
and
now
it depends-
2019.
I think it depends on the venue. Like, usually at the brewery, it's the kids running around and there's games on the table that they're playing. They don't care about the entertainment that's happening here. You know, at that point, it's also an adult establishment, right? And there are some exceptions to the rules. I have some friends that will bring their kids to the bar and to the shows, and they're great because they want to experience the art as much as their parents do.
I could see bringing someone to a show more than just bringing them to bring them. Like a lot of times I go to breweries and bars and there are kids there and there's no entertainment. Like I could see, we know Krish or my son is in high school and he's really interested in politics and in social issues, and they know that you talk about a lot of issues on your show, so maybe they're going to bring him to experience that. I could see that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when I notice it, it's just there's nothing going on. It's just some hole-in-the-wall bar, and you've got a kid sitting at the bar counter. I'm sitting there trying to, like, enjoy a beer, and there's a child next to me whining.
But that used to be like the thing here, though. You know, like
It's
in
a
those
dumb
blue-collar
thing.
towns, yeah, they used to bring their kids to the. But again, it's like that's the changing of the times, right? Like you brought your kid to the bar, and the kid became like just one of the
drunk.
guys, or
He became
whatever.
a drunk because he hung out at the bar
Right.
his entire
Yeah.
childhood.
Or he doesn't drink at all, or they don't drink at all, right?
And that's how we got baby boomers. Let's not encourage this behavior.
Right. No, I'm not encouraging the behavior. I'm you know, I think that's a generational difference. I agree. Like if you are not friends with the people and you don't know that your kid can hang with the crew, you know, like and be chill about things. Kids are not that way. Most kids are not. Most kids like go get a play date, you know, like get them to a friend's place or take a, you know, have grandma take them to the playground or something.
Just be boring. Your
You know?
life's over. You had kids. That's what happens.
Yeah. My friends basically like don't have kids.
Yeah, I mean it happens. You know that's what it is. So I want to talk about your show. We're going to talk about a little bit about your experience where you've traveled the country and you've seen everything. But before we get into that, let's talk about this show. It's going to be, as we said, it's going to be on the 1st in February,
Yes.
and it's going to be right here at the Funhouse at Mr. Small's. And who's going to be involved in the show? Who's on the lineup? I'm seeing Vincent Didiano.
Yes, I'm very excited. Liz Victory is going to be kicking it off with some music, and then we have Vincent Didiano of P.O. Vincent. He's going to be on the show, opening up. And
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And the very funny Stacey Flerim is also on the show. She is fantastic.
I don't know her.
She's awesome. She does like a lot of religious jokes and jokes about like social issues and stuff too. But she has a different style and a different approach to it. She's great. She's a very funny writer. And I'm super excited to have them both on the show. I'm super excited that Liz is going to be opening up that show. And I like having music open up comedy shows because I think it sets the right energy. That way, like, the host doesn't have to come up and spend the first 5 minutes just getting the crowd focused. There's something about music that once it starts playing, people are like, oh, okay. And people, like, start paying attention a lot faster. And then the energy that the music creates, people, the other comics can kind of grab that and run with the show. And it just kind of creates a little bit of a different experience. I think it makes it more of a bigger event when you have two different entertainment styles like come together. So I'm excited for it. I've been doing that a little bit on the road, having some musicians open up on my comedy shows, and it goes over awesome.
Well, I think it probably depends on the musician as well. Am I right in thinking that? Because I feel like if you had an entire band before a comedian, people might get too hyped up and too much adrenaline to where they're not going to pay attention to the comedy afterwards.
Yeah, I think like a singer-songwriter, something like that. Yes, or like a duo. I've had a couple duos open for me, and that's always been kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah, I could see a duo.
Yeah.
I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like you wouldn't want, for example, we were talking about the hot sauce we have here in studio, the Grey Walker hot sauce. You wouldn't want Grey Walker opening up before a comedy
No,
routine.
that's a bit too much. That's a little too crazy.
Unless you want a crowd to show up.
The crowd would show up, but would they pay attention to the comedy?
Yeah, I think some people are going to be too concerned about whether it's too hot in their mouth or not.
The hot sauce is really good. They did a great job with that.
That's all. I have to get that one.
Shout out to Allegheny City Farms, the hottest local hot sauce in Pittsburgh.
Hell yeah. That's what I need to get that from my brother-in-law. Likes real hot food. That might be the next
That
one.
might
that
be
I
it.
get.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about Zach is he's really into all different types of hot sauces, and I love hot sauces, but I'm way too lazy to do the research. So he does the research, and they're sitting there in the fridge, and I get to try
like,
them
this
out
is the one.
occasionally.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh,
My
look,
wife's like that.
This could be painful. Let's get one.
Yeah.
Surprise Brian. What's this like?
No, but it is wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to experience all of that. So you're coming in, Empathy on Sale. Now you've been doing this routine, right? This is the first time you're recording it, or
Yeah,
Okay.
I've toured with it for about a year and a half. It's gone through a few different iterations before it got to this one, and I feel like this is what I want to talk about, what I think is important. And there's a point in the through line, like a thesis statement to the shows that I've been writing the last few years. And the point of this one is really trying to listen to each other and why we need, everybody involved to make society a more progressive society, to make society a more, logical society, something that takes care of each other rather than do what we were talking about earlier, right? Is like not pay your employees enough so that they don't care about working at your working at your company. And then they don't work at your company, or they revolt to try to get more. Let's think about how we can do work together to make society better. And it really came out of how people reacted after the 2016 election, because a lot of people that was the thing that woke them up. That was the thing that got them either engaged in politics for the first time or re-engaged in politics after a long time. And I just saw a lot of this backlash of just people going after other people.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't serve any purposes. That's exactly what, the system at large wants us to do. The system that wants to funnel money upwards, wants to create these laws that go against the rights of people. Like, they want us fighting each other so we don't pay attention to what they're doing. So we might as well stop. We might as well try to listen to each other, understand where we're all coming from. And that's sort of what I was kicking around in my head. And then I wanted to kind of figure out some examples and, using comedy to engage that conversation. So that's where a lot of that came from. So it did involve talking to people that I disagreed with a lot. It did involve talking to people on the opposite side of the political spectrum just to see where they were coming from and just to see if there's something that I was missing about certain issues, and which is always great. I always kind of welcome that after shows.
Yeah, and I think that's something. I think this particular set is very important in today's day and age. First off, social media has ruined people. I think that's part of the problem.
I don't disagree
if
with
you
that
think about it,
statement.
people wouldn't say the things that they say on social media to someone in their face. I look at all of these things about the opioid epidemic where people say, "Oh, let them die," or the welfare situation where people are get a job. Nobody would say that to someone to their face because they're cowards and it's
but
more
then
about
it's also
getting.
you see the human emotion behind it, right? You see an actual person
Yeah.
in pain, and that's going to change the way you look at an issue. And a lot of this stuff on both sides of the political aisle is they've just never met anybody.
This is
that's
true.
thought about this sort of stuff. They've, what's interesting is like when I bring up the fact that there are Bernie supporters that voted for Trump, there are people on the left that lose their mind. They're like, how could that be? What is that even? That doesn't even make any sense. They're so different as candidates. And it's like, yeah, man, betrayal is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like when your party that you're aligned with betrays you that badly, of course, people are gonna, lose hope, and they're gonna do something desperate, or they're gonna, do the fuck it vote. And I don't, I get it. I don't think that's the best course of action, but I get it. There's a reason why it happened. Well, now we know that, and maybe we can take some steps. Maybe we can take some actions and support people so that this doesn't happen again. So.
Yeah, and honestly, like I always come down hard on the left, much more so than I do the right, mostly because they profess themselves to be so much more educated and so much more enlightened.
But I also want them to be better. That's the side that I belong to, and I want side to do better.
Sure. But I come down on them mostly because of the way that they treat other people. They act like they're so much more enlightened and that they want people to change their perspective. But as soon as they do, they yell at them for not having been there the entire time. Like there's no winning with them.
It's the notion of the fact that you can't educate anybody. They should just know automatically.
Yes,
It's like
well,
even
that's like-
instincts are learned.
And they should have always known.
Yeah,
You should have always known. Right.
That's the whole thing with,
Right.
with the Trump thing. People, like I've mentioned to different people in conversations about how can they still, so I support them. I can understand how they got tricked in the beginning or whatever, and people are like, no, and I'm like, okay, then welcome to 4 more years, because if you're not willing to allow anybody to change their mind, then they're not.
I think the big thing with that mentality is that people forget history. There's a reason why Trump came into play. There's 30 years of politics and 30 years of legislation, 30 years of culture that all led to what happened, to all these people voting the way they did, right? This sort of stuff has been going on for a long time, and I've addressed it in my shows before. And now what's interesting to me is the people that are getting more vocal and saying like, oh, you should have known from the start. You should have known from the start. It's like those are the people that always chastise the comedians and musicians for being too political, But it was because you felt like your side was winning.
Yeah.
And now that you feel like you're not winning, it's like you should have known the whole. No, nobody was winning at all. People weren't winning. The population wasn't winning. Average citizens weren't winning. So now, if we can get on board with that idea, I think now we can start convincing both sides. Oh, maybe we can think about this thought. Oh, what about this perspective? Oh, I learned about this fact the other day from 1993. And now we can kind of start talking about things, adding more to just average citizens' knowledge and growing from there. And we're not going to grow. We're not going to progress. Ideas like universal basic income or getting health care for everybody or gun reforms. None of those ideas are going to go anywhere.
Can you educate me on universal basic income? What does that mean exactly? Is that basically like there's a bottom that people have to make, or does that mean that everybody's going to make a certain amount of money?
Yeah, it's basically everybody makes a certain amount.
So I don't like that, actually. I feel
don't
like
like
some
that
people
idea?
should make more money.
No,
than others.
it doesn't mean that you can't. It doesn't mean that upward mobility is taken away.
So that's my point. So it's
Yeah.
basically everybody makes X amount. It's almost like a minimum wage, except for a minimum wage that people could eat off of.
No,
Yeah.
this is it's an amount distributed to you, the individual taxpayer,
Yes.
to
Okay.
a certain degree that's going to cover maybe food, some rent, some utilities, just kind of enough to like so
To
you don't
survive.
die.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
so
could
it's-
still
yeah,
be.
so,
you wouldn't
so
get
the
food
basic
stamps.
needs are
So you could
covered.
still work
Yeah.
really hard to become rich.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you would
Okay.
still be able to go up
Absolutely.
and
Because that's
you know.
my thing. Like, I don't feel everybody should be the same because some people don't do don't do as much work. You know, I
Absolutely.
hate that argument that everybody should get the same and the intrinsic motivation is what you get out of working hard. It's like, well, screw that because
That's
the regular
communism.
job.
Yeah, that's
it-
that's but universal basic income is the equality of opportunity argument is basically what it is. Everybody
Okay.
starts at the same place.
Well, I think that's I
and
can
then they
get
can
behind,
do what
yeah.
and then you make your choices. So let's just throw an easy number, $1,000 a month. Let's say you get $1,000 a month,
Yeah.
right?
It covers rent and some food.
Right.
Yeah,
Cover some
yeah.
rent, some food, and maybe some utilities depending on where you're living, just to keep it nice and easy. Well, Brian, you might do something different, right? I might sit there and be like, I'm good.
Sure.
I got fucking video games to play.
And that's
you
my
know?
point. And that's exactly my point because there's somebody who's out there just playing video games and smoking, which is fine if that's what
Right.
you want to do. But there are other people who are like, like I work nonstop. Why should I be not
Yeah.
get higher, advance my status
But
for doing
$1,000
that?
a month means that for me, like, thinking about that, it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, that means that I can put more effort into, less effort maybe on social media promotions or that end of
Absolutely.
things, but more on writing, more on getting to cities that I don't get to very often. Working a little bit more, increasing my opportunities and things like that. I believe Manitoba, I could be wrong about this. Somewhere in Canada, they did this experiment back in the 70s and basically found out like 13% of people were like, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good with what
oh,
we're
I'm
getting.
sure. A lot of people.
You know?
I look at where I work, for
Yeah.
example, and I guarantee you most of those people, or not most of them, but a portion of those people would be that way because
Yeah.
they work the mid shift because
Right.
all they want to do is go home and play video games. So they'll work. They're the type of people that say, "Oh, best time to work 12 hours is before your day off, so you can sleep in the entire day." Like that's not me. To me,
Yeah.
that was infuriating. I'm like, wait, you're giving your one day off and you're donating it back to this place. But that's how they are,
Yeah.
and they stay on that shift. God bless them because I wouldn't want to be on that shift. So.
Right.
But yeah, there are people who are like that. They don't
So it
really
becomes-
have
yeah,
very
it-
much ambition. It's just
But
get by.
the way that it's kind of been twisted is that it's just free money. It's welfare. It's
well, it is welfare to a point.
It's
I mean,
welfare to
yeah.
a point, yeah, but in the negative aspect of
Yeah.
welfare, it's the same people that say like, oh, you should get rid of food stamps, are sort of the same people that are saying no to universal basic income or no to even like looking into trying the idea.
Yeah.
There's a couple countries that are experimenting with it, but again, it's like experimenting with it is like, how are you going to really see the long-term effects unless you experiment with it for 50 years, 100
Yeah.
years to really see how it's going to change a society? So I say, fuck it. Let's just try it. And if we fail, in 10 years, let's say the whole country is on fire and, a third of the men are just masturbating on the street corners. If that's what happens, all right, well, let's go back to the other thing where that
Yeah.
wasn't happening. and we'll
Just
try again.
described the situation in California.
Except for they don't have universal
yeah.
basic income.
Except
They're
they
just,
don't- yeah.
they're just crazy. Before, go ahead.
I was trying to work on a joke for universal something taxes, but couldn't play it out.
Didn't work out. Real quick, we don't have much time to get into anything else because we got a deadline here. But
yeah.
I'd love to have you on again sometime.
love
The one thing I love about getting you into the studio is we both have a similar mindset,
Yeah.
and I think we both our minds work in a similar way, so it makes for a really entertaining show.
Yeah, I would love to come back.
But I do
I'm
want to
always
say,
excited.
real quick before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to your podcasts. We have Taboo Table Talk
Yep.
and Forkful of Noodles.
Yeah.
So subscribe to those. You can find out more information about Krish at RomanNoodlesComedy.com. That's RAMANNOOO. No, just two O's. DLESCOMEDY.com. You can find out more information there. And then February 1st, right here at the Funhouse at Mr. Smalls. Don't forget to get your tickets. Where can people get those tickets?
You can get them on my website at RamenNoodlesComedy.com, RAMAN NoodlesComedy.com. You can RSVP to the Facebook event. They're available there or at the Mr. Smalls website.
Fantastic. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review The River's Edge on Apple Podcasts. Listen to your favorite shows like The Mike Sasson Show, Guy Scott Game, and P.O. Vincent on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. They're all right there. And speaking of lists, old episodes of that broadcast are there as well, so you
Yeah.
can check those out too. That's on Apple Podcasts. Just look up The River's Edge. Thanks so much to Krish Mohan for coming in studio. Don't forget, February 1st, pick up those tickets. Thanks to Zach behind the board, Brent Conley, our producer. I'm Brian Crawford. This has been the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. This is River Talk. I'll catch you on Friday. Peace.